Hey everybody, what's up? 7:59. Good to see you. It's your friend James Shaw. Happy Thursday. Thank you for choosing to start your morning right here inside of the Pivot Shift Ahead community. We are in Momentum Week. We've been looking at the five things that hold us back, that keep us from reaching our goals. And if we can, I think we have to create awareness around them before we can move through them. These five things that we brought up, if any of them resonate with you, they're going to stick around with you forever. But you just have to know that they're there so you can recognize when you're experiencing them and then push through. And so we're going to cover the fourth one today, which is this idea of getting stuck in perfectionism, but maybe not even being willing to admit that that's what it is and how we can push through that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But before we do, Andrea, tell us something good. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing today?
We're good.
Awesome. Listen, I am having a side conversation with Kim Boris, and we are talking about just feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed. I have been feeling like I had an elephant on my chest this week. I got asked, sometimes I get to do spoken word for women's events, and I got asked to write about that and just like really keeping it real. So I appreciate everything you've been doing this week because I feel like that's what we have to do. We just have to keep it real. We have to ask for help. We have to be open, honest, authentic, and transparent. And that's what I feel like really happens in this space. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to say thank you to that. Thank you for everybody that's always willing to be open, honest, and transparent and authentic. And it just makes my day. It helps it easier to be me and to be better. So I really appreciate y'all. I love y'all and I thank you so much. Yes, see, Vicky, me too, girl. I don't even know why. I don't even know why. So I thank y'all. I love y'all. I'm gonna drop to the link to the spoken word. Maybe it'll help somebody. I love y'all. Have an amazing and great day. Mwah. Bye.
Same to you. You know, the whole purpose of this community is to be honest and authentic and transparent about where you are, because otherwise we can't get better. That's just the kind of person I am. It's really obvious what I'm thinking. I show it on my face. I kind of tell you what's in my mind, and that's the kind of community I want. And I think that's where growth happens. And sometimes we just put up a wall and we want to look good and be right. And if we just let that down, then we're in really good shape. So thank you for sharing that. Jolie, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to publicly thank you for hopping on our team meeting on
That was
Tuesday.
so
You
much
guys,
fun. Thank
it
you for
was,
having me.
yeah, it was fun. And the feedback was incredible. As soon as you hopped off, the room was silent for a minute. And I said, well, what'd you all take away from that? And they're like, oh my God, da 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 da. So it was incredible. My OP called the pre-show the secret call. He
I
goes,
love that.
I think y'all need to get on that secret call. So I thought that was funny. But then also, you just said right at the end of the pre-show, you dropped a link in the chat. You do that often. And I just wanted to point out for everybody, take advantage of the resources, the stuff that's free. If you're not taking advantage of that, I don't even know why you're in real estate. And if you take advantage of one thing, implement it once a quarter, now you've paid for Inspire for probably multiple years. So
Yeah.
join Inspire and then implement one thing a quarter from Inspire. If you just do that, that's all you need to do.
We have so much free stuff. We have 5 years of interviews I've done with people on my YouTube channel. And, I try to create a space that doesn't feel like a funnel. In other words, that when you come in here, the whole point isn't to try to sell you something. I do talk about Inspire because we have it and you should know about it. And I'm proud of what we do. But I never want someone to feel pressured to participate in it. And yet, I think if you did, you'd get good value out of it. And now, if now is not the right time for you, then utilize the free resources that are available to you on both my website and my YouTube channel. I'll put both of those links in the chat in just a minute. All right, Karen, you get the last one. Good morning.
Good morning. This week has been amazing. It has really hit home for me. Uh, just being involved with between Keller Williams and this call, staying in touch, been real purposeful for trying to get to know other realtors. And so today I get to do my favorite thing. I get to go over to the beach and show property, which I absolutely love. So, staying in touch with other agents, referrals is wonderful. So I would definitely recommend, find out where people move from and go out and reach out to them.
Have fun at the beach. That'll be great. We went by last night. This is this week. We have a handful of weeks a year that have no dance in the evening. This is one of them because the recital is coming up this weekend. And so last night we were like, what are we going to do? Family date night. And so we went down to Clearwater Beach, had dinner, and just walked along the beach. And it was great. It's 15 minutes from the house. It was so nice to enjoy. So go do that if you can.
I'm going to be up there June the 11th and 12th. I'd love to meet up with you.
Well, send me a text, Karen. Send me a text. We'll see if
I
we can
will.
pull it off. All right, let's get after it this morning. These are the 5 things that I think kind of get in our way from time to time. As I thought about this over the weekend, I was like, why is it that agents get a bunch of momentum and things are going gangbusters, and then all of a sudden, boom, they fall off? And why are some of those reasons? And so I came up with 5. Number 1 was overthinking everything, which I covered on Monday. And we said, instead of overthinking, let's instead just decide and do. What are some, how can we move quickly, but with small steps without having to accomplish everything, right away. Number 2 thing that gets in our way is we wait until we feel ready before we take action on something. And what we taught is that you actually gain confidence through action, not thinking about taking action. And so we encouraged you to just, instead of asking, am I ready, ask, what can I do right now? So that was Tuesday. Wednesday, that was a big one. You all really liked Wednesday. Wednesday, we said one thing that holds you back is saying yes to everything. And instead, what we suggested is that you protect your focus and your priorities, and that if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, and recognizing that clutter kills clarity, and to have clarity about what's important to you. That was yesterday. Today, perfectionism in disguise. I think perfectionism is something that gets in our way. And what I'm going to suggest you do is that you just finish before you're comfortable. Because perfectionism isn't about quality. Sometimes you just want to have everything just right and wonderful and perfect and a pink fluffy unicorn dancing on a rainbow. But I don't think perfectionism is about quality. I think it's really more about fear. That we stall because we're afraid of judgment or failure or falling short in some way. But nothing actually changes until you take action, until you follow through, until you move forward, until you send the newsletter, until you schedule the appointment, until you make the call, until you knock on the door. Nothing changes. Here's a rule that I kind of use. And by the way, you will notice this rule in my world if you read stuff from me. My stuff is full of typos. In fact, you don't even tell me anymore when I've made a mistake. I used to get email back, James, da-da-da. I had a there problem the other day in an email. I know the difference between your and all that jazz, but I had a typo in there. It's fine. But I operate by this rule. I call it the 80% rule. Now, don't confuse it with 80-20. This is where I'm telling you 80% is good. And the 80% rule is this. If it's 80% ready, get it out. So I think about that for a newsletter. Folks, you should be sending, I think, a weekly newsletter. Not a monthly newsletter or a bi-weekly newsletter. I'd send a weekly newsletter and just get it so that it's 80% ready and get it out. It does not have to be perfect. Because nobody remembers what you don't do. Nobody remembers the call you didn't make. Nobody remembers the script you didn't practice. Nobody remembers the newsletter you didn't send out. Progress only happens when you do something, you get feedback, you adjust it, and you repeat it. I'll use our events as an example. We did the first event. I was done. Never wanted to do it again. I did not like it. It was not a good time. There was nothing about it that was enjoyable to me at all. I still don't like that first event we did. And I'm talking about PIP 2 really being the first event. I was done. But I got so much feedback that we had to do it again. So I made some adjustments to it and repeated it. And we did the other one in Orlando. Then went to Indy. I took your feedback, made adjustments, and repeated. In Indy, I got feedback. We made adjustments for Disney World and repeated it. I got feedback. I already know what I got to change for London. We're going to make a major change about how we do something in London because I got your feedback. We're going to adjust and repeat. But let go of flawless and embrace done. Just be happy that you got it done. So I want you to think about, I've been giving you some questions to think about. So the questions I want you to think about is there anything right now that you have been endlessly working on, tweaking, adjusting, that you just need to decide is 80% done and get it out? And if not, what would even 80% done look like? I bet it'd be pretty good. Let's talk about it, Julia. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Thank you so much for taking my call. And I'm turning off the so. I have a funny story about that exact thing. So I do a bi-weekly newsletter to my COI. and I was getting the Mother's Day weekend one ready, and I got way behind. So I just used Chat GPT and it put together 90% of it. And then I did a couple of things and sent it out. I got a response from somebody who I put on that database about 5 years ago. They came to an open house. They've never communicated back with me, but they're on my email. They sent me a response back that said, "Hey, we love your emails. Did you know that all of your dates were one day off?" And that was my Chat GPT portion. And I was like, oh, I did not see that. But they were the only ones who saw that. And they responded because I made a mistake. And I thought it was hysterical. I mean, sometimes mistakes get reaction that you didn't expect. And I thought it was great.
Your friend and neighbor in Tulsa, Jenny Wolek, tells you that the entire Your Journey with Jenny piece started because of a mistake.
That's right.
That what you hadn't you sent an email? An email went out to the whole database it wasn't supposed to, and then people were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Actually, I like this."
Yes, I was mortified. My whole agent database accidentally put into my local database email newsletter. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was freaking out, freaking out. And that is honestly where Your Journey with Jenny came from, is the next KW event. People were like, thanks for the information. I can share this and rip off and duplicate it for my own market. And thank goodness that little boo-boo, it's all right. It's all
It all
right
worked
now.
out.
So
It all worked out.
and hi, Julia.
Dan Tamarkin, good morning. Daniel,
There I am.
there you
Hello,
go.
James. Hey, yeah. So we talked about mistakes that are positive, and one of the things that I've learned, James, for myself is that I tended to be that person that if I was going to do it, I was going to do it right. But I applied that to everything, and the reality is not everything matters equally. And like getting 80% of a contract right is different than getting 80% of a flyer right. The flyer, like if I could go back and say, hey, will this matter a year from now? On a contract, if I get it wrong, it will matter a year from now. So I need to make sure that's right. At least that's what I found for myself.
Yep.
But a flyer, if I get a year from now, I'm not even going to remember that I sent out that flyer. And I found that to be a helpful guide, because my natural tendency had always been, or it's just naturally to, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And as opposed to the high D's that just, are just going to just do it. So I think there's a little wisdom in understanding, what's at risk and what's the consequence. And if you get a mistake, you might end up having a beautiful mistake like what Jenny talked about. And then other times you might have a mistake that, will have a significant consequence, and you just need to understand that not all things are created equally.
I love all of that. I think you're exactly right, is that they don't, or in fact, there's a whole chapter in the one thing that says not everything matters equally, right? That's one of the laws. I want to remind you too, Heidi's, you suffer from perfectionism too. Like, I get that the perception is that we're just put our head down and get stuff done. We suffer from it as well. We need to understand where it is 80% is good enough. And yes, Dan's right. 80% of a contract being right is not good enough. But a majority of the stuff that you do, 80% is just fine. All right, Tulio, it's your birthday today. Good morning. Happy birthday. What's on your mind?
Thank you. I look at perfectionism as something that steals from you. It's like it's a thief. It steals opportunities. It steals your time. It can steal your creativity because you're thinking too long and too hard. It steals your progress. I think we all do that. In the end, it's those of us who are consistent. Consistency beats perfectionism every day. And to add to what Julia said, if I was tried to be perfect, I wouldn't have Jessica as my teammate and as my partner. I got Jessica because of a mistake. She was a client, and she said, "Do you have a document that tells me how to prepare my house for pictures, for photography?" And I didn't. And I said, "I'll get you one." And I put together a quick one, and I sent it to her, and she immediately wrote, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but in paragraph 3, you have a misspelling in the fourth word." And I wrote back, "You're hired." And then she wrote back, "If you're serious, I'd like to talk to you about that." That was about 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for that little mistake, I wouldn't have had Jessica as a hire.
And by the way, he had a misspelling in the third paragraph on the fourth word and made $1 million. Like, this is the stuff I want you to get. That we're stressing out about the wrong thing from time to time, and then you get the right people around you to help point some stuff out. It's good stuff, Tulio. Have a great birthday today.
Thank you.
Andrea, you're next. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy birthday, Tulio. Okay, I got two things. Perfectionism is super selfish when you think about it because we're so concerned about us that we're not thinking like you blocking somebody else's blessing, somebody waiting on your crappy post that you think is crappy, but somebody else can benefit, or whatever you waiting or holding off on, somebody could benefit from that. So, in order to combat that, I have now become a liar because I went through my database the other day and I started reaching out to buyers that have been on the fence. And I was like, hey, you interested in the workshop? We about to put on a workshop. And everybody replied back, yes. And I was lying because I ain't have no workshop put together, not one thing. So I immediately start putting it together. I got sponsors. We having a wind down Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I got people, I got an Eventbrite, all because I lied. So I'm just saying.
You didn't have a choice now. Kate Condon, good morning.
Good morning. I'd hate to do a workshop on the fly. That would be pressure. Anyway, I'm just being reminded this morning of John Acuff telling us that he read 100 books last year and he realized if he was reading somebody else's book, he didn't have to work on his own. And I think procrastination is, that perfectionism is a kind of a front for procrastination. And we got to be aware of that. I know I do. Thank you.
You got it. Matt Cannon, good morning.
Good morning, James from El Paso. Hey, so perfectionism without action is just procrastination. Um, Nobody cares how perfect you are. We had a training recently that needed to happen, and we didn't have the training planned out, but I just set the date and the time, and guess what? We figured it out. It was just fine. So just do the thing. Thank you.
Yeah, just get it done. Just do it. Just Star, good morning.
Hey, morning, friend. So I always laugh because in the beginning, I would do Facebook posts and people always like to correct you. So I just would do it on purpose and I'd forget stuff on purpose. Like I'd forget the town or I'd forget the price and I'd pretend I was a dumb blonde, cunningly so. So people would go and correct me because they like to be right. And so they'd go, "Oh, Jess, you forgot the town again. Oh, Jess, you forgot the price." And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so we're looking. Anyways, when can I get you into the house?" And so they'd be like, "Oh, that's really great. And I need to sell my house too." So I, from posts like that, had listed at one point, listed a condo, sold him a condo, listed his girlfriend's condo, and another investment property from one stupid Facebook post where I forgot to write the town, forgot to write the price. And I started doing it intentionally and got more and more people that wanted to do business just because I accidentally made mistakes and forgot to put information in there that I intentionally did, but they couldn't figure it out. So make sure when you're doing stuff, like you don't take yourself too seriously. You can joke about it too. And just be light with people. Make sure you're responding to them when they're posting on your social media posts too, and have fun with it. People want to work with people that are fun, that are kind and caring, and actually give them the information in a timely fashion too. That's it.
I get more replies when I make a mistake than when I send you something that's life-changing. That is a true story. We have a thing right now in our MailChimp account is all messed up. We can't figure it out because all the fields are correct, but for some reason, when we're sending emails with your names in them, you're getting other people's names, you're getting your last name. Like I got an email that said, "Hi Terry," but in the database it says James Shaw. Like it's all right there. It's correct, and that we can't figure it out. So now we've just taken it out. But man, y'all would let me know. Why are you calling me Star? I'm not saying Jess did that, but I would get those when you make mistakes, people reach out to you. Isn't that the point? Don't we want to get into a flow with people and have a reason to talk to them? So, Jess, I love that advice. Good stuff. Frank, you get the last one, friend, before we kick it.
Yeah, very simple. I'm kind of the just go ahead and do it. And people tell me, hey, there's a mistake there and all. And my classic comeback is, hey, if I was perfect, I'd be a very boring person. All right, let's take it and figure out what we got to do from here and make it work.
That's it. Folks, decide today that perfectionism is not a thing you need to pursue, that it's based more in fear than anything else. And just take a look at whatever it is that you've been thinking about getting out, sending, the person you've been thinking about calling, the whatever that is that you've been thinking about doing, but you've been hesitant because you just want to make sure you nail it, just go do it. See what happens. All right, get after it. Hey, thanks for being here this week. I hope it's been of value to you. We'll put a bow on it tomorrow, and then we'll have a great long weekend. All right, you got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.